He's a basketball Hall of Famer. He is by some considered the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He's also an author, a cultural ambassador, a social activist, and most importantly, he's a thinker. It's been really amazing to read his work over the last couple of years in all of the turmoil our country has been through. Kareem Abdul Jabbar joining us this morning on the show. Kareem, good morning.
Good morning. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well. Thanks so much for joining us. And you've got a memorabilia auction benefiting your Skyhook Foundation, which provides educational opportunities for underserved communities. And there's some really cool stuff on here. I mean, there's a Little League trophy of yours from the 50s. There's All-Star Game uniform for 1970. I saw a School Safety Patrol Award of Merit from 1961, which is amazing. And then there's a couple of NBA championship rings. And I wondered, how did you choose which rings you would be able to part with for this auction?
It's been a very difficult process. But it's great to be working, with the people at Golden Auctions. That's goldenauctions.com. They are very experienced. They know what they're doing, and they've helped me sort everything out. And this month will be a very interesting month for me to see how well we do.
It's amazing. Some of the stuff on there is just absolutely amazing. You came into the NBA when it was not a players' league. It was an owners' league. And by the time you left, it had become a players' league with Magic and Larry and so many other stars of the 1980s. Did you notice that evolution of the NBA was happening under your feet as you were playing? Because now the player is completely empowered.
I think the real change, I noticed what was going on because after the decision for the Oscar Robertson suit, that gained us free agency, I knew that eventually the players would be in a real good position because you can't have the games without the talented guys out there on the court. And, no matter how much money you got, that doesn't make you an athlete. So the players will always have that power, and I think that's a good thing.
I read a Q&A that you did recently with the Palm Springs Desert Sun, and in it you kind of noted that you didn't have to be great friends with Magic Johnson to be great teammates and for it to work. That really, Magic was 12 years younger than you, and it was him and Jerry Buss who were so close. By the end of your career, when you're up there in age and everybody else is younger, do you have friends in that locker room, or do you reach a point in your career where you're kind of going solo with it at that point?
No, I always had friends, and Magic and I had a good relationship. It wasn't, we didn't hang out every night together, but the interpersonal relationships on the Lakers were always, we all got along. It was definitely about family, So despite the gaps in age, there was a lot of respect and appreciation for the guys that helped us win, and that's why we were together.
Kareem Abdul Jabbar is our guest here on the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. In your piece for The Guardian, which noted, and we've all kind of celebrated the 50th anniversary of John Carlos and Tommy Smith's protest of the medal stand of the '68 Olympics, you brought up that there was a disagreement at that time, not just racially between whites and blacks on what Smith and Carlos did, but also between conservative whites and conservative blacks, or conservative whites and liberal whites, and it was not just a racial decision between the two. Do you think the same thing holds up now for modern athlete social causes? Do you think that there is a split amongst races within each cause, and it just doesn't go, well, black people feel like this and white people feel like that?
I think that, it's pretty, it's very varied. There's a great variance in how people feel, and there's no way to predict how people are going to come down on any of those subjects that you just mentioned. You will find a big variation from people of all different backgrounds, socioeconomic and racial.
You know, we live in a very tumultuous time politically and socially, and it conjures up images of the 1960s. Do you feel like there are parallels? You lived through both, and you were active in both. And
yeah, I think.
Do you feel it?
I think the thing that split our nation down the middle before, you know, what you were talking about had to do with the Vietnamese situation. You know, the Vietnam War. That split our country, and now it's more about certain people having a nostalgia for a time when, if you were a white person, you had an advantage just for being white. That's not very common now. That's something that can't continue to exist because our country is now very racially diverse. So you know. White supremacy is not something that's going to fly, and some people are upset about it. But, you know, we have to move forward.
So some people would say that racism now, or race relations, is fractured and broken, maybe the worst ever. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like we have made significant progress since what we're talking about here, the 50s, 60s, and before?
Certainly there's been progress because we can clearly see that people's value has to do with their intellect and where they're coming from morally. You know, the color of your skin doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's really a non-relative aspect of somebody's persona. You know, you judge the people that you have to deal with on the basis of the quality of their humanity, and that's the only reliable thing that we have to determine that.
You were alongside Muhammad Ali as he was fighting against the Vietnam War and being drafted and everything that encapsulated that time for him. He was very unpopular amongst a lot of circles of America back then, and you were beside him during a lot of that. Do you find it ironic that now he is so beloved and that everybody kind of roundly applauds him and what he stood for at that time?
Well, I think you know, we eventually reach a position of wisdom, and we can see where Muhammad Ali was correct in his assessment of what was happening in those days. And you know, most people don't want to identify with something that's incorrect. So you know, America feels good now about embracing Muhammad Ali because he was right. And I think that as we figure out what's right and wrong with various situations, we'll come to a right decision. That seems to happen all the time in this country.
Kareem Abdul Jabbar is our guest here on CBS Sports Radio. You know, Bill Walton idolizes you, and he was shy and had a stutter when he was growing up. He was on our show last year, and I think in a 16-minute span, I got 2 questions in. 2 questions because he couldn't stop talking. Can you ever get a word in edgewise when you talk to Bill?
Well, you can if you use the shoehorn. But that's the only way.
I figured maybe you, because he idolizes you, you'd be able to speak and he would listen. But I wonder if maybe that doesn't work for anybody.
I don't think it works for anybody. You know, he wouldn't. Coach Wooden couldn't get him to shut up. So, you know what? I'm very, very much less than Coach Wooden. So I wouldn't try it.
Are you happier now than when you were younger?
Yeah, I think so, because you as you live your life, you figure out what really counts, and you get to understand what actually makes you happy.
Skyhook Foundation helps give educational opportunities for underserved communities, and the auction at goldenauctions.com right now, a spectacular collection, has so many amazing Kareem Abdul Jabbar and Lou Alcindor items, amongst other things as well. I got to tell you, whoever gets that School Safety Patrol Award of Merit from 1961 is going to have the most amazing item of your career on their wall.
Well, you know, I think, you know, the whole idea of me doing this is to give my kids a chance at developing a shot that can't be blocked, and I'm talking about their education. So, you know, that's what's important. So, you know, that's what I'm doing this for. CampSkyhook.org. That's where the money will go, and that's what will enable me to give these kids what they need. And I just want to, thank you for helping me connect with the people that will, participate in the auction and help this happen.
Well, it's our pleasure and our honor, truly. The website is goldenauctions.com. That's where all the auction items on. You're talking about the 1971 Bucks NBA championship ring, the 1982 Lakers NBA championship ring. One of the things I love, the UCLA Letterman sweater is on there as well. All-Star Game uniform, framed and beautiful from 1970. It's all such cool stuff. And again, it benefits the Skyhook Foundation. goldenauctions.com. That's goldenauctions.com. Kareem, this was truly an honor to have you here on the show. I wish you all the best of luck with the auction, and I thank you so much for taking time out for us today.
Thank you so much. And remember, the auction ends October 27th. So, get everybody in there before that. Yeah.
October 27th. Get them in there. Thanks, Kareem.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Kareem Abdul Jabbar joining us this morning on the show.